Hello, 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 everyone. Hi, welcome again to GIAC's channel. My name is Charles Abe, and today I'm very, very excited because I get to chat with, I'd say a big brother, but a really good mentor, very knowledgeable. He's one of the partners of GIAC, so I'm very excited to pick his brain, learn how his mind works, and be able to share all that great information and knowledge with you. Hi, Dr. Martin Kwende. Welcome to our interview today. How are you doing?
Thanks, Charles. I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about today.
Man, I'm so excited because I know the amount of good information you're about to share tonight will be very beneficial to everybody watching. Since you're a very busy man, let's go straight to the point. Let's ask a few questions and see. Um, could you tell us about yourself? Who is Dr. Martin Kwende?
Well, uh, Charles, I just my background. I'm from Cameroon, West Africa, and I'm essentially the last of 8 siblings, right? But when I was born, I never knew my father, and so my mother was just a farmer. She had already 7 kids, and I was the eighth one. So I'm sure she was probably not paying too much attention. But I was kind of a little crazy starting off. Uh, but I remember 2 things she told me. She's like, "Oh, you have to go to church, go to school," because I didn't have a father figure in my life. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I kind of struggled with that as a young person. Uh, but when I went to church, I discovered there was a heavenly Father that was present everywhere, and I also learned that if I do everything I'm supposed to do, God will do the rest. So that confidence has allowed me to be able to accomplish a lot in my little life, right? So that's kind of why I started. Just ordinary guy, nothing special, but I had hope that my life could turn into something, big.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. I really like that comment you said. If you did your part, God will do the rest. Well, what does that mean to you? What is your part? What does doing your part mean?
Right. So basically, what that means is, so for example, when I was finishing primary school, I don't know if in Ghana it's the same like in Cameroon, but you do primary school and then you have to go to secondary school, college,
Yeah,
right?
it's the same.
When I was finishing primary school, I didn't have anyone that was going to pay for me to go to secondary school. At least there was nobody that said, okay, if you pass. But I'm like, hey, I have to do the best in my exam with the hope that it's going to give me the best chance of doing something. So I did the best that I can. And then ultimately, one of my brothers accepted to pay for me to go to one of the best schools. But I had no chance. I just had to do my best at the time. And then I hope that whatever is going to happen, that is the confidence that I work with right now. Everything that I have to do, I have to give it my best. And then don't worry about the part I don't control.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Because a lot of people sometimes want to see the end goal, right? They forget that just take one step and then figure the next step out. But we always, and I'm sure someone, if they were in your shoes, they would have just been like, oh, I have no helper, so I'm just going to coil into my shell. But you did your part and the rest fell in place.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about GIAC. Every time I hear GIAC, I'm excited. What inspired the creation of Global Impact Accelerator Corp?
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? Growing up, I was fortunate to have a scholarship to study in Europe, right? But I never had the opportunity to go back and give back. And so I worked in the corporate world and I got myself up there, working in Silicon Valley at vice president level, essentially in the medical device space. But I kind of saw that my life was too empty. I was not feeling that I was actually giving back. Because if I make a pacemaker, for example, it costs like 20,000. I did not know how many people in my community can afford one if they needed one. I felt like I need to make more impact because the society already made more impact in me. Does that make sense? So I was trying little things, trying to help people in the community. I actually got into a financial space, which is part of what I do right now, which was basically learning how to educate and empower our communities financially. So when I saw that, that kind of interested me. So I started doing that and I actually changed my career to do that full time. But also I was thinking more and I'm like, there could be more done. I'm looking at Africa. I see the opportunity that we have. We have the most natural resources, right? But we have kids running away from the continent. Some of them dying, in the Sahara, some of them dying in the oceans. When we have everything back home, and I'm like, I can complain all I want about Africa, about the leadership, how they have no vision, but that's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
So, Charles, I made a resolution that I'm going to do my best wherever I am, right? And I'm just going to do my part. I'm not going to complain anymore. So when I made, one of my business partners, like Chrissy, whom we also interviewed right before, who is also a co-founder of GIAC, right? We kind of clicked and we have the same mindset, like, hey, we need to make a difference, right? And I told myself, if I go back home, the people that didn't come to the West, most of them I've never seen something that works correctly. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to expect those people to fix something they don't even know how the fix would look like.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself, as a diasporan, I have to contribute to making that difference. Right. So that's when I see other diasporans that are interested in making a difference, I immediately connect with them. And that's kind of what GIC came from. Like, how can we make a difference back in the continent? That was kind of the idea. And that's the foundation of what that is based on right now.
Okay. Thank you so much. Great answers. But let me pick into that a little bit. You said you were accomplished. You were at the VP level, right? And you are making money as a VP, living in Silicon Valley and all that, but you didn't feel satisfied. I want you to elaborate on that feeling. I've gone through that feeling before, but I'm sure there's someone out there who may be going through a feeling, but they just can't place their hand on it. They are successful, they have a nice family, they have home, money, but there's some lack that they feel. How would you elaborate a little bit on that?
Right. That's a great question, Charles. There's something called Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? So most people start by just trying to survive.
Yes.
Personally, when you are able to survive, now you start worrying about making a difference for other people. So my point is, I was able to meet the basic common needs for myself and my family, right? But then I'm like, I have to be at the level where I can make contribution to other people's lives. But my career, the way it was set up, I couldn't do that. In fact, I remember one of my friends, my very close friend, he has a PhD. For me to get him to work in my company, I had to go through loops to make that possible. Makes sense. And he had all the qualifications. So I'm like, if that's the way it works, that platform does not allow me to make a difference.
Yeah.
For even my immediate community. Makes sense. So that's why I'm saying that, the once you feel like you can take care of yourself, which is where most people start, then the next thing is, how can you impact other people? Because otherwise life has no purpose. Most people get comfortable just surviving. Right?
Yeah.
I don't believe that's why God made us to be here, just to survive. We have to be able to give back. But if you don't even have something for you, how can you give back?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so back to GIAC. You guys GIC has a really big goal. $1 billion injected into Africa, right? And you're hoping to achieve this by getting 100,000 diasporans, which I know is possible. But where is that goal from? And what gives you the impetus to think that it's achievable?
It's kind of interesting when you start studying the world, right? You start to see things that you don't pay attention to, right? One of the things that I started seeing, I used to say, oh, I'm looking at Africa, I'm like, we have all the natural resources, the most by far. Why are we still considered broke? And I started to understand, even from the Bible, that we're not developing what we have. So imagine Ghana shipping raw minerals out, like gold, and then they have to import it. Or cocoa, for example, they ship cocoa and then they import what? Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Nigeria, number 3, I believe, in oil production, ships crude oil and then they import what? Refined oil.
Yeah.
So we are basically taking our resources and giving them away. Why? Because I started looking, I'm like, our leaders, that's stupid. But what I found out, honestly, is that we don't have access to capital. Right? If you go back home, Ghana, Cameroon, whatever, you want to borrow some money from the bank, they might charge you 8 to 12% a month.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm asking myself, what kind of business can you start? And you're paying 8 to 10% interest a month. What business will work like that? There's no business. So I started discovering, Charles, that we are actually not able to have access to capital to develop the things that we have. That's why we're poor. Right? So I'm like, hey, as an African, I don't want to complain, but guess what? We can't just depend on the international monetary system because they're not designed to help us. That's my view. Makes sense? The IMF, they're not designed to help people. They keep telling people to do structural adjustment program. That makes no sense if you really think about it. Makes sense? So I'm like, hey, how can a normal African participate in the process of changing the continent? And I'm like, okay, the best way is what if we came together and we are able to put small amounts of money, but a lot of us, And then we have capital to start what? Putting into companies, but not just putting in companies, but actually helping coach those small entrepreneurs, small business owners to know how to run a business. So that way they start making a lifestyle for themselves and people around them. We can change that continent one person at a time. That's what kind of made me feel like if we can have a platform that can allow people to put money and be confident that that money is going to be used the right way, then we can start to change that continent. That's kind of where my confidence came from, right? And then it's like, when you have the right people to start building a foundation, then there's absolutely no question we can do some big things together.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about GIAC and its structure and also its modus operandi. You sort of alluded to some of it, like getting companies together, but give us a full picture of what that looks like as GIAC.
Right. So GIC stands for Global Impact Accelerator Corporation, right? So bottom line is we're trying to create like an incubator in a way, but way different. One of the things that we learned, I work in Silicon Valley, I work in a startup as well, is that 90 to 95% of startups are going to fail for almost 12 different reasons, right? But the number one reason is money. If you don't have money, you can't start. And if you don't have money, you cannot continue, right? So if you have money to start, and you don't have money to continue, it's still going to fail.
Yeah.
But that's only one reason, and it accounts for about 38% of failures. There are 11 other reasons that account for 62% of the failure, right?
Okay.
Leadership experience, market fit, regulatory challenges, so other things, right? So when you talk to most entrepreneurs, what do they always ask for? Money.
Money.
But they forget that even if I give you money, most of the time you're still going to fail.
Yeah.
So the idea of GIAC is, how can we actually address both ends, right? How do we try to help them find the money and at the same time be able to coach them to overcome some of the other challenges? That's the essence of the GIC platform.
Wow. Wow. So I've heard you speak a lot, and one thing for me, when I hear about GIAC, stands out really well to me is the ecosystem of GIAC. How does that contribute to success?
Okay, so I'm going to explain because it's interesting. So the idea of the ecosystem came from, we were trying to really explain, how do we make people see what we're trying to see, right? Because people cannot have the vision to see, they don't want to participate, right? So I started thinking like, okay, if you look at the life cycle of a product, if you want to market any product, I don't care what it is, whether it's a pen like this or whatever, somebody has to make the pen to start with.
Yeah.
That person is called a producer. And then that pen has to be placed in the marketplace, either in a store or online for you and I to see, because we cannot buy stuff we don't see, right?
Yeah.
So that's called a marketplace. It has to be placed somewhere. To get that pen there has to be some logistics involved, right? That's a third level. And then there's a delivery component. I can either go pick the stuff up from the store or it can be shipped. So the 4 levels of, creating value is what? Producer, marketplace, logistics, and delivery.
Yeah.
More or less, right? So I'm thinking to myself, if that is true, the challenge we have is what? If a company is actually trying to do all 4 steps, right? One of our companies like Escape, for example, if they're going to make their product, then they're going to create a marketplace, then they're going to do the logistics to move it around, and they're going to do the delivery. With the limited knowledge base that they have and limited resources, what's the chance of success? Significantly lower.
No.
But what if we limit them just to the production, and then we find another company in our ecosystem like VIP Social that does the marketplace, and then Swerve that does logistics, and then Locker that does delivery? We can absolutely increase the chance of success better if we did that, right? So that's the essence of what we're trying to create, is to have a space where you have all these components, but we're building what I call a super company, right? We're trying to build a super company. So then that way, each person is almost like, it's like a department in a company in essence.
Yeah.
Right? A department does not have to do everything. They focus on what they're good at, and then they give the other stuff to somebody else to do.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to build as an ecosystem. Now, 2 other things that are very important in the ecosystem. One is what? Infrastructure. Most of the time, infrastructure is not really stuff that most people can do, right? It's kind of more what government is supposed to do, like the road system, like banking, like,
telecommunication,
right?
Yeah.
But those things are essential for business. Usually when I was in MBA school, they call it public goods. right? That is essential. That's infrastructure. And then there's what? There's the financing. Everything needs some money.
Yeah.
So my point is, if you have the infrastructure and the finance, then you have those 4 steps. That's kind of what we call the ecosystem. And then in that ecosystem, you also have what? Service providers, right? You have people that can do taxes, marketing, websites, all of that stuff. If you want to be successful in business, you need all those components together. That's essentially what we're trying to create. That's what we call GIAC. It's an ecosystem that ensures better success for any player in that space.
Okay. So what if I'm a business owner or a startup or someone who is interested in GIAC? What are you looking for? What should I check on my list to say that, oh, I think I should be a part of GIAC? And also, what is the procedure to be a part of GIAC if I'm a business entrepreneur or startup or something?
Well, if I believe that any entrepreneur, any business owner, any small business in Africa should be part of GIAC.
Wow.
So let me start it this way. Every successful company in the West has a board of directors. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do
Yes.
they have a leadership system already in place? They have a CEO, they have all the VPs, whatever, but they still have a board of directors.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of a board of directors?
To have vision, push it.
It's to make sure that that leadership team has something even more than what they see, right? Just
Yeah.
within the company. So now a small business owner, do they also need a board of directors?
They do.
Yeah, but do any of them have any?
No.
No. Are you surprised why they fail?
Yeah. I'm
So
not.
guess what? GIC is like a pseudo board of directors for a small business,
Yeah.
right? So everybody needs to go there just for that, for some direction. We challenge you. We put you under pressure a little bit to make sure that what you think about stuff the right way, right? Most people feel like getting money is about the money. No, it's more about the things that you have to buy, more about ideas. That makes sense? So
Yes.
a lot of time entrepreneurs go get money, but they don't have people to brainstorm with to challenge the ideas that they have. At GIAC, we actually help you to fine-tune your business idea, make sure that it makes sense. And there's a whole process to doing business, right? I don't even want to go too much into that, but it's called VSEM, Vision, Strategy, Execution, Metric. If you want to run a business, you have to do those 4 elements. So in GIAC, we help you understand very clearly what you're trying to accomplish. We help you develop strategies. And most importantly, we help you execute, and then we track key metrics. So we keep you accountable. That's the only way that we can ensure more success. And we also help you find the resources, both money, and we connect you with other service providers that are trusted that can help make sure that wasting resources to go try stuff and then fail. That's why I'm saying I don't care who you are. If you're in Africa, you have to be part of the GIC concept or platform.
Wow. So what is the process to joining GIAC? Maybe after someone watching this interview, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I think that's something I need to get." Like, where do they start from? How do they go about it? How long does it take?
Yeah. So right now we have a preliminary website, right? We're building, our resources a little bit more right now. But anybody that is interested should be able to go to our website right now and request to be connected, right? And then we're going to be able to reach out to them. There's a whole process we have in place where they can receive, some preliminary information to kind of see the whole process. We send them a video so they kind of know what to expect. And then we're going to make time to sit down with them and try to get to understand what their business is.
Okay.
And then we're going to see whether there's a fit. The truth is that we're not trying to help everybody. We're trying to help the people that fit very well in what we do, right? But we can advise anyone, but we don't necessarily have to work with everybody.
Okay. Okay. Now, $1 billion into Africa. Is that a final picture, or this is just phase 1?
No, this is just phase 1.
How will Africa look like when this $1 billion has been injected into Africa? What are some of the key matrices to know that, okay, this is how Africa has moved from, and this is where it has gotten to?
Well, $1 billion, for example, is not a lot of money if you really think about it globally, but it's a great start. That makes sense?
Yes.
Our goal really is to create a platform where more Africans can participate in the building and development of their own continent. Part of the challenge that we've had in the past is we're always hoping that somebody else is going to come fix it. And we have a lot of somebody else's, and they've not fixed nothing.
Nobody is fixing it.
Because their goal is not to fix anything, if you ask me honestly. And I get that. It's how the world works, right? You and I have to be more interested in our own environment than hoping that someone else is going to do it. Everyone does things for their personal benefit, typically, correct? So
Yes.
for us to allow other people to do it, hoping that they're going to have our best interest, is kind of foolish in a way.
Yeah.
We have to actively participate in creating an environment that we love to have. I'm here now. I'm in my 50s, so guess what? I'm really worried about my kids, my next generation.
Yeah.
I didn't have a father, so my father left me absolutely nothing. So I cannot have the logic that, well, because my father left me nothing, I'm going to leave my kids nothing. Absolutely not. That's the only way we're going to create a foundation for the next generation to be better than us.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So we'll come to your family a little bit. GIAC, how did you meet the partners? Akwesi told me a funny story about how he met Dr. Mate, but how did you guys meet, and how did the conversation start up that sparked this connection that you talked about previously?
Yeah, this is actually interesting story. I'm not going to go through the start of the story because if I explain how I even got to meet him, it's kind of crazy. But bottom line is that I live in San Jose, right? And one of the companies that we work with, VIP Socio, they came into San Jose for coaching for my Kwesi, because my Kwesi was running a company and they already knew each other before. And so these guys also know me from back in Cameroon, and they were trying to get me to invest in VIP Socio. So they told Akwesi, hey, we're going to invite this guy. We need you to close him to invest in VIP Socio. So I came innocently. So I met Akwesi and Dr. Eric in the office and the other guys. So we're talking. They were kind of doing their normal session. And I kind of because I get excited about stuff about Africa. So I started talking. And then, obviously I knew Innocent and, the team before. And I kind of knew what they were doing. So I was kind of like, okay, this is interesting. So this was in 2019, just before COVID.
Okay.
And so every company was having challenges, right? Akwesi was running level data at that time. So he had to try to save the company. So he decided that he was going to liquidate the whole office and shut it down just to preserve, resources.
Yeah.
So I got to be talking to him quite a bit, right? So I got to buy some of the furniture that he was getting rid of, right? But in the process, he and I were talking all the time, and we just clicked. It was kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
The first time we met, we kind of just clicked the way we're thinking. And from then on, it's just kind of, as we talk more, we saw that we had the same focus to make a difference in Africa. And that's how the whole thing started. And it almost just sounded like a joke. It's like, okay, let's start doing this thing. So we started interviewing companies one a week, at least about one company every week from 2020. And the idea started kind of forming in our heads as we were going, right? So over time, over the last four years, it started making sense, but some things started falling in place. Right. So it's taking a little bit, but when we started, we kind of knew we had the same vision. We want to make an impact in Africa. Right. We've been successful in this environment somewhat, but we also felt that we need to make a difference back in the continent. We're very clear about that. So then we're very open to figuring out how to make that possible. That's how GIAC was birthed.
Good. Great. So can you talk about the power of partnerships? Because a lot of times, and even me personally, I struggle with it, and I know a lot of people struggle with that. Like, you have an idea, how do you source the right people? And just like you and Akwesi clicked on that level, how do you establish that? Well, what do you think was what Akwesi saw in you, and what did you see in Akwesi that made that partnership seem to connect?
Well, the thing is, when you talk about partnership, as an African, we have a syndrome. I don't know, there's no name to the syndrome, but it's well understood. Everybody likes to own their stuff 100%.
Yeah.
Right? Or I own this building, I own this company. I'm like, question is, so what is that building paying you? I own the building. It makes sense. That's kind of a mindset. You just want to own stuff that does nothing for you. But if you
Yeah.
look at the real world, most people that have something, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they don't own the company that they run by themselves. They leverage, right? So the key term in business is called leverage. You can leverage knowledge, you can leverage resources, right? You can leverage different things. So in business, if you are doing a business by yourself, that means you are not maxing out on the ideas that you have. You are not maxing out on the resources, right? That's what the idea of company is about. It's bringing people together, bringing expertise together. So we were coming from, hey, he has an experience in a different area, I have experience in a different area, but we all were leaders in the corporate world. And we saw the need that Africa has, at least from the diaspora to the continent. And we had the same passion for making that difference. And then we also connected on a personal level. Make sense? You know, so we could talk and we can see where we wanted to go. And it was easy to like talk. But my point, and then I'm not leaving out Dr. Eric Mate, who is also, you know, co-founder of GIAC. Because when I met, there were two of them together when I met them. Right? It's funny because all three of us clicked, which is crazy. Right? And it's been a very unique partnership in my mind. I mean, I have two people that we kind of like triplets in a way, right? We're all different. Seriously, we're very different. But when we work together, it's always what? Complementary. We're trying to build on something. I don't remember ever arguing with those two guys about anything. It's always kind of like, how do we make something better? So it's always constructive. We frank, right? But we always constructive. How do we get to a good, better result? That's it. And I think that's key in partnership. Having the same mindset, like we want to make this better, right? Not I want to be on top of whatever. We honestly, we've always operated like, how can we make things better? Always. And that has made it very easy to build a partnership because none of my partners have any ego, I know, in my view. We always focus on what? Giving.
So just to summarize, I picked up a few things. First of all, like there was a vision that united all of you, that vision to see Africa do well. Secondly, also there's that innate culture that each of you had independently, which makes working together easier. You don't have an ego. You're always wanting to make things better. So people are constructive and objective. I love that a lot. But the question I was asking, I realized I didn't frame it well, but you answered it perfectly. The fact that for us, we always want to totally own something and we underplay the need for partnership and the importance and how much better we can make things if we came together than individually trying to make it work. Those are great questions. Now, GIAC. It has all these portfolio companies. Could you pick any of the companies and tell us like a success story, if it's possible and if it's not proprietary, but like where you saw them, where they've gotten to, just something for that entrepreneur who is sitting there watching this interview thinking, oh, well, they got these people from maybe $1 million sales in revenue to this, and if I join, I could also. So this is more like tooting your own horn a little bit. So let me give you the chance to do that.
Which is something I'm not very good at, but it's so good.
I'm asking the wrong person.
Yeah, so no, but I like that question because if we cannot show success or some progress, then it's like we're not really going anywhere, right? So one of the first, I'll maybe talk about two real quick. So the first one is Max Barlow, right? So Max Barlow is a company that we founded. It's part of the financing component of the ecosystem. Because what used to happen, Charles, is that every time we should talk about the ecosystem, everybody will be like, okay, I see this company, but I want to invest in GIAC. And we're like, no, we can't do that. We don't have a bank account. We don't have anything. We just want you to be able to connect to the companies directly and then vet them and then invest because it's a risky thing to do. Make sense? So we're basically trying to be a conduit. But we couldn't basically take any money. So, but also we're also focusing on entrepreneurs, like startup entrepreneurs. And one of the things we ended up finding out is that a lot of people don't really need to raise money. They need working capital. But that working capital has to be deployed and managed correctly. So then the idea of GIAC, you talk about it, of Max Barlow. I knew Akwesi, he's kind of started this quietly, with Sandra and kind of going about it. But in last year, April, he sat down with me in Las Vegas and he said, okay, we're trying to raise money, take this idea to the next level, right? So I was like, okay. I said, I absolutely buy into the idea and I see where it's going. So I offered to give a huge, amount to invest in the company. And they told me after that, because of that, just how I did it, it basically changed their perspective about what they saw. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
so from April last year, they had about $500,000 in the portfolio in April last year in Las Vegas. By the end of the year, which is start of this year, 2025, Max Barlow had raised about $1.5 million.
Ooh.
Okay.
3x.
Now, today, this is start of what? September?
September.
Yeah. Max Barlow is over $7 million in lending capital right now.
Ooh. Wow. That's
Right?
powerful.
Yeah. So in the last 8 months, this company has gone over 270% above. And we're just getting started. And the bulk of our activity is only in Ghana for right now, even though we're in 4 countries. That makes sense? So for me,
Yeah.
that's a huge, huge success. Huge. Okay. The other company I'm going to talk about real quick is Escape. They do skincare product for Black skin. When I made the founder of Escape in, I think it was like 2018 maybe? I believe 2018, 2019. Yeah, I think 2018, 2019. It was just an idea she was passionate about doing research with skincare for Black skin. There was no business aspect. It was just passion about, oh, I just did this research. And I was thinking, I'm like, this woman has something very important, but she's not even seeing it as a business.
Value. Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, okay, I started kind of questioning, like trying to know more, right? And I kind of got interested in the whole product, and we got on the platform, started coaching to come to this point where, she's been able to get working capital from Max Barlow to basically make the product, right? And the government of Nigeria has actually approved that product to be used in the country. And she's basically running a platform in Nigeria to change the challenge of skincare, people bleaching their skin in Africa. I mean, it's a huge deal. Makes sense? So that opportunity can transform lives significantly in Africa. And she also did something which is very interesting, which is in terms of distribute the product, she made what they call affiliate. So you can go into that as an affiliate and you can make money by offering that product opportunity to other people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So these 2 examples for me are huge. We have other companies, we have Swerve, we have, VIP Social that are actually making great progress as well. In fact, in my view, I feel that we are making most companies more successful now than the regular 90 to 95% failure rate that people talk about.
Yeah.
For 2 reasons. One, we're careful how we pick the entrepreneurs that we work with. But secondly, we actually become part of the company. So the entrepreneur is not working by themselves. We actually are like the pseudo board of directors to help them look at what they're doing, challenge their thinking, and make sure that they can set the right processes in place.
Okay. Wow. Talk about impact. It's in the middle of the name, and that's what your focus is on. So, what impact has been made so far, whether on the business side or on the product side? And I'll just lead you on a little bit. But I was in one of your GIAC's impact meetings, and I heard some really wonderful stories about people who are getting working capital from Max Barlow.
Yes.
I've also seen a video from Escape on this affiliate marketing system thing. And I'm asking myself, this is an African company doing an affiliate. Normally you hear affiliate marketing is more in the US. Yeah. So this is huge. This is big. I want you to just elaborate a little bit on the impact that whether Max Barlow, GIAC as a whole, or some of these companies are making. For example, skin bleaching. It's a big problem in Africa, especially West Africa. Mm-hmm. And Escape is making inroads. What is the impact GIC is making?
Honestly, I project forward a bit always, right? And I'm always looking long term, what is possible, right? So sometimes they call me the visionary because I always like to imagine things happening. And when I think about the fact that typically as Africans, we are in the diaspora, we're usually not good at working together, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
And when we have ideas, we like to hide them, right? And a lot of us don't have corporate experience at that level where we want to be creative, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to bring people together as Africans in the diaspora to start thinking together and wanting and desiring to make a difference in our own home, for me, it's a big accomplishment in itself,
Yeah.
right? So my hope is that any business person in Africa, small business owner, or any entrepreneur should be able to feel like they have an opportunity to make that idea that they have become real, right? And that GIAC is a platform that can help them have the thinking that what I'm thinking is possible, and we
Yeah.
can practically make it work the best way that we can, right? So from that alone, I see significant impact, like just the changing of the mindset to start with,
Yeah.
right? I've been learning a lot about success and poverty is the same thing. But one of my pastors, Apostle Selman, if you watch on YouTube, he
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
something just this past week that was very powerful. He said, poverty is tripartite. That's how he said it, right? There are three elements that make you poor. Those
Oh,
same three elements make you wealthy. Okay. Typically, we talk about what? We talk about mindset,
yeah.
right? So there's a mindset shift that you have to have if you want to become successful. But there's a mindset you also have if you stay poor. Okay. Then the second part is action. You have to take action. You can't just pray, for example, and expect stuff to happen. You have to go do something,
Do
right?
something.
But the part that I never thought about much was the spiritual part. He said it's a spirit element to becoming poor, becoming wealthy, which means there's a supernatural component to it,
Yeah.
whether I like it or not, right? So just imagine somebody that has worked hard, right? They go, they sell stuff in Africa, and then when they're coming back, thieves attack them and take all of their
Yeah.
stuff. They've done everything
All
right. They have the
right.
right mindset. They've worked, they've taken action, and then boom, they're still poor. Why? Because of spirit.
Yeah.
Makes sense? So I'm just saying that, as I'm learning all this stuff, looking at the GIC platform, we're starting to be in a point where what we can give people real hope that we have the power, the knowledge, and the willingness to change our own communities one person at a time. Right?
Wow.
So I'm seeing the companies right now. I don't want to like just celebrate the company now, but I can see the foundation that we're putting in place. That's more what I look at as successful right now.
Wow. Now, let me ask you something. I'll frame it in two subsections, but the first one is I know every year in October, there's a trip to Africa.
Yes.
So let's start with that. I would want you to tell us a little bit about that trip. What is the objective for the trip, and what could people expect if they decide or want to join on that trip?
Yes. So as an African, I've lived in the West for a very long time. I left Africa in 1988. And from that point on, I've never spent more than 3 weeks in Africa, to be honest. Right? So you get to a level where you feel like it's not really your home anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And then think about somebody that is born here with all the stories that they hear about Africa. Think about an African American that's born here, or my children, for example. Do you think they really feel comfortable with just the stories that they hear from here?
No.
No. Do you think they're comfortable with trying to invest in Africa when they have no clue what is there?
No.
Probably not. So one of the things that we've done is that we've said, okay, if you are living in the US and you've never been to Africa, we want to give you an African experience. So I don't want to just invest. I want you to actually go experience Africa and see for yourself that there are real, regular people there, good people that also want the good things in life and can do stuff to make a difference. So that's how we started making a trip where our investors, we would take them to Africa. We started doing that in Ghana. Last year, we're doing it this year again. Right? We'll take them to Africa and actually walk them and show them some experience in Africa, real life experience. They travel, they go to the cities, they go to a nightclub, they go see the art, culture, whatever. So they understand that this is real. So we did it last year. It was really, really successful. And people were like, wow, I never understood that Africa is real because nobody ever took me there. I just hear stories on TV, right? But now I actually experience it, they fired up. So now they're also coming back and going like, hey, you know what? Let me bring my friends to check it out. So we want to make sure that if you're not born in Africa, you can actually go experience what Africa truly is.
Yeah.
So I have a curated trip that we set up for you. right? It's kind of crazy. You buy your flight, but guess what? It costs about $1,000 for all the other stuff we help you to experience for like a week plus, right? Just so you can see, you get to talk to some of the entrepreneurs, you're going to see some of the challenges and the opportunities as well. And that's something that I think is very unique, right? Helping people not just to invest, but to actually experience what it means in Africa as well.
Tell someone, a diasporan who is listening or watching this interview, what would be your message to them? This 100,000 people we are trying to get together to invest in Africa. What would you tell them? What should they expect? And just send them a message on what to expect with GIAC, what that impact they are gonna see is, and just basically how they should, or what they should expect, more or less.
Okay, if you're an African listening to me right now, please pay attention, right? You and I are in the West, for example, we're benefiting as a diasporan from a system that somebody built, right? Now, back home, some areas have a better system than others, but we know we don't have near perfect systems at all. Yeah. And what we tend to do most of the time, we complain about the system that we have back home, but we don't do anything about it. This is my challenge to you. I personally decided I'm going to stop complaining. I'm going to help just make a difference, right? I want to challenge you to stop complaining. Now, if you decide you're going to make a difference, then you need to start. The idea of GIAC is a platform that allows you to at least start, right? We are showing you opportunities where you can put your money. We're trying to make sure it's as safe as it needs to be to get you started. Make sense? Yes. And we give you an opportunity to actually come to Africa and actually see what's going on. We're not just telling you, oh, just give your money. We're inviting you to come and experience it yourself. And you'll see. One of the challenges that I have is that, Charles, most people don't understand that Africa is the next place when it comes to business and everything in life. The median population age in Africa is what? It's about 19 years. Yeah. The world is around 30. Yeah. And we're the fastest growing population on market right now, right? Statistics show that by 2050, 1 in 4 people in the world is going to be an African. Yeah. That's a huge, huge opportunity that is sitting right there. So guess what? All the other people from around the world are going to Africa and setting up shop, and you and me that are African are missing out. And we keep running away, hoping that something's better out here. Listen, we don't own this place. We have a home that we can go build and make impact, not only for our kids, but for the next generation. So for me, I'm very passionate about that, and I don't hide it, right? I'm looking for people that are like-minded, not for everyone. Some of you are very comfortable where we are, and that's fine. But guess what? There are a good number of us that want to go make a difference. If that's you, that's what we're looking for. I want to give you a safe place to start. So go out and check giacgroup.com. We're actually upgrading the website. Go to maxbalo, maxbalo.com to see how you can start participating. That's what we're asking for right now.
Wow. There you go, guys. You heard it from Doc himself. Doc, my last question, I know you have to go. Our time is almost up, but my last question to you is, what is that question that you would have wished I asked so you could answer and share something more deep or detail about the conversation we've had? It could be on anything, but I want to give you the opportunity to talk about anything that is important to you that we've not already touched on, or that you even want to reiterate. We already talked about it, but you want to reiterate it. This is free zone for you. Take it.
Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that, right? For me, personally, I just want to appreciate you, obviously, for making the time, right, to talk about GIAC. This is a cause that I'm very passionate about. And it's really not about making money or becoming financially successful. It's truly about making impact, right? In my regular career, I was already making a good lifestyle by any standard. My wife and I used to make about $500,000 a year working in Silicon Valley. But like I said, that was not enough impact for me, just having a lifestyle, right? Yeah. So right now, we're in a position where we are focused on two things. Essentially, that my life is focused on two main things right now. Number one is financial empowerment of our communities. Why? All of us go to school, we learn everything, science, engineering, medicine policies, guess the one thing we never learn? Money.
Money.
But what do we work for?
Money.
For money. Now, how well is that working out? Not
Not
very well.
well.
And it's not by mistake that the system doesn't teach us about money. We casually put money in the bank. We go do a 401k, but we don't think about what that really means. Make sense? When I got exposed to that knowledge of financial empowerment, I basically studied it for 4 years, and then I quit my career altogether. Wow. And I said, I'm going to commit to teaching the community about money. This started in 2010. By 2014, I went full-time in the financial space. And right now, we have a business with over 11,000 licensed financial professionals in our own community, going back and making a difference in our own community. And my point is what? If we're waiting for someone to come and fix us, it's not going to happen. We have to fix we, right? And it has to start somewhere. I started by myself. Now we have 11,000. If the 11,000 keep going, guess what? We're going to have more and more people that can help each other. So that's the one thing, financial empowerment. All of us have to study that part. I don't care how you do it, but you have to know how your money works because you work for the money, right? The second thing is entrepreneurial empowerment. My hope is that no young African has to run away from the most endowed continent to go somewhere else. So we have to set the foundation for them to know that what they have the power, the resources, the knowledge to make an impact where they live. So for me, it's something that I'm very committed to, I'm very passionate about. I know that most people don't think like that, but guess what? There are enough people that think that way. If you are one of those people, I'm looking for you. We have to go empower our community with what? Entrepreneurship knowledge. That's essentially what GIAC is all about. Making sure that if you have a business idea, we can help you to formulate the idea, right? Have a strategy, learn how to execute, and have resources to make that possible. And we talk about this idea of having $1 billion. The thing I love about that, Charles, is this. If we had 1 million Africans, I think this number is even crazier. Can we find 1 million Africans that want to put $10,000 each, say, in the diaspora?
Let me do that real quick.
Yeah. Seriously, 1 million.
And that's possible. Times 10K.
That's $10 billion.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the idea of $1 billion, people think it's more. It's not. If I can get 1 million diasporans that commit $10,000 each, we're going to start with $10 billion. Do you understand the impact that $10 billion can have on the continent right now if we can help small business owners, give them little capital, help them to do the business so they employ the next person, then the next person, then the next person? What do you think happens 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Wow. Just thinking about it blows my mind.
Yeah. So it's not we have to start where we start. It sounds small, but guess what? The company is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So personally, I'm truly, truly excited about where we are. I'm totally in with GIAC because we have a foundation for creating the next generations of successful Africa. So, Charles, I truly appreciate you making time to do this interview. Please, you are listening to me. We're looking for those who are looking to make impact in the continent. Thank you.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. I picked up so many nuggets from this. One, we have to fix we. Nobody is coming to fix us. We have to fix we. Secondly, it's the financial empowerment, right? We have to get that financial knowledge and then the entrepreneurial mindset and growth. Man, this has been an overwhelming time and it's been filled with so much value. Doc, we are really, really grateful to have you on the interview today. Thank you so much for sharing. Just from listening to you, I see a future Amazon or some kind of scale of business coming from Africa. It could be Escape. It could be one of these companies you've mentioned, but my mind is blown away and I'm excited about the future and the prospects. Guys, if you are listening to this, join on the bandwagon, go to GIAC.com.
The GIACgroup.com.
Group.com and .com. Yes. And reach out. There'll be a lot of resources to help you get on board, but this is going to change Africa and jump on board quickly. Thank you so much, Doc. It's been a pleasure. And I know you are busy, so I'll let you go. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.